Welcome back to Fox Eyes on the Hill live this Sunday morning. We want to turn our attention now this morning to Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. He is the first American journalist detained in Russia since the Cold War. He was formally charged Friday with espionage for doing his job as a journalist covering Russia. Now, the White House says Gershkovich is not a spy, and his release is now a top priority of the Biden administration. Gershkovich's lawyer met with him in prison. The Journal denies espionage charges against him, and there is a mounting international effort this morning to release him. And for more on this, we want to welcome in the Wall Street Journal's Washington bureau chief, Paul Beckett. Paul, thanks for being with us for a very timely, and an important effort right now. Tell us about Evan. What have you learned about his condition right now, and why are they keeping him?
Evan was out reporting on assignment for us in Russia. He's one of a new generation of great Wall Street Journal reporters, of great foreign reporters writing about Russia, of a small band of people who are trying to cover this hugely important story, and he was out doing his job, and the security services detained him and now have charged him, and it's all completely bogus, but it puts us in a dreadful spot.
His lawyers have been able to meet with him in just the last few days. Do you have any information about how he is doing and how he is holding up right now?
As is typical of Evan from his friends, he's a quirky, optimistic, energetic young man, so our reports have been fairly promising under the circumstances. The circumstances are he's in solitary confinement in a security services jail, and it's very hard to know how he's doing because we have so little information. The Russians still have not granted him any access to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow.
He is a reporter doing his job covering Russia, and in a country like Russia, which is under Vladimir Putin, journalists are a threat to their way of conducting control over the population. Why is Evan a threat to the Russian government in their eyes just because he was doing his job and being a journalist?
I think that you've seen an increasing criminalization of journalism in Russia and other places around the world. So we have been hugely heartened by the support that we've gotten from other journalistic institutions and from the American public, because I think they see this as a press freedom issue. He was reporting on important stories. The one that he did just before he was detained was on the predicament of the Russian economy after the last couple of years, where obviously it's been very heavily sanctioned. So he was doing vital news gathering for us, I would say, for America, I'd say for the world, and obviously the Russians clearly didn't like it and clearly have trumped up charges against him.
One of the things that have been clear just in the last few days is that there is a worldwide effort now to get Evan released. The National Press Club has also highlighted this. Obviously, they've all been working the last couple of years in highlighting the story of Austin Tice, who has been a hostage for a number of years, and when Jason Rezaian from the Washington Post was held by Iran, they did a lot of work on that. What has been the Journal's reaction, people, the colleagues who are Evans, who have seen this really global effort right now to put pressure on Russia to have him released?
I think we've been really buoyed by the support, and I know Evan's parents have been too. They have a fascinating tale to tell themselves. They were Russian, Soviet, Jewish emigres who fled persecution, came to this country. Evan was brought up here, was brought up in New Jersey, and it was his interest in his parents' heritage that put him back to Russia, and now we've seen this really as an assault on the freedom of the press, and I think that's why we've got such tremendous support for it. It's not just about Evan. He's a wonderful young man, but I think a lot of journalistic institutions and defenders of the free press look at it and say, this can't stand.
It is not unfamiliar to see Russia engaging in this kind of behavior. Brittany Griner, a WNBA star, was held in captivity on what many people described as trumped-up charges against her before she was finally released. What is the propaganda move by Russia when they do these things and they take these people prisoners, charge them with crimes, when this is not really something that on the world stage Evan Gershkovich should be paying a price for if there are differences between nations of the world?
I think you've seen the Russians try to use this as intimidation tactics. In the Wall Street Journal's case, we won't be intimidated by anything that they do, but you've also seen it as an element of hostage diplomacy. It's why Paul Whelan is also there on trumped-up espionage charges, and he's been there for a long time. You saw the Brittany Griner case, you saw the Trevor Reed case. This is a way for Russia to try to get leverage in the game of geopolitics.
Unlike years ago during the Cold War, people do have now the platform of social media at their disposal.
Yeah.
What can folks do? I see you have a free Evan Now button on.
Yes.
What can folks do on their own accord to keep his name out there and to keep the word about Evan Gershkovich and hopefully get him released at some point?
So we would really appreciate it if people would use the hashtag #IStandWithEvan. It's been trendy on Twitter. It's been a popular way for people to express support, and we would encourage them to get to know Evan. If you come to the Wall Street Journal's website, WSJ.com, we have a lot of resources there that will familiarize people with him, and they will see for themselves what a tremendous young reporter he is.
Tremendous journalist, and our hopes to his release at some point very soon. Paul Beckett, the bureau chief of the Wall Street Journal, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right.